What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris, man. Welcome back to the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast by yours truly, CD, Conversations with CD, Christopher Drummond. I got a very special guest that's going to be joining me today. Um, this guest has been a contributor for Sports Center, contributor for Around the Horn, contributor with Outside the Lines, been a frequent participant of highly questionable shows like that. Also, as a columnist, a host, a reporter, a philanthropist, and now an owner of the Chicago Red Stars NWSL team. She also does philanthropy, as I said, for companies like Embark, also Peace for Pits, and also her most famous one, Hear the Cheers. She is a Illinois native, Lake Forest, Illinois native, a Cornell alumni, and now has been with ESPN for the past 11 years, doing various roles. Without further ado, I bring to you Sarah Spank. Here she comes. Sarah, hi Sarah, how you doing?
Hello. Let me make sure my AirPods are set up right. Hold on.
You're good. You're good.
There we go. Now I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
What's
How you
going
doing?
on?
How you doing this Tuesday afternoon?
Good. Thanks. How about you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Pretty all right.
I see. I see.
Good.
Just want to start off by saying thank you for coming on and being a guest of mine. I've told you this before, as we talked
Sure.
before. You are my favorite person to follow. One of my favorites in the
Oh,
game. Period. And there's
that's
a
so
lot.
nice.
There's a lot
Thank
of
you.
people. I'm sorry. There's a lot of people I like. But you are number one for sure with everything that you do.
Thank you.
Before I get started, I want to ask you, how are you and your family, Fletch, Banks, everybody
Yeah.
doing during the pandemic?
We're all hanging in there. Yeah, we have felt very lucky to have the dogs. They're constant good companions. And, just having a neighborhood we could walk around and stuff to do throughout. So we're doing all right. How about you and your family?
My family's kind of spread out. I appreciate you asking. My mother, my aunt and uncle, they live about an hour away from me here in Georgia. My dad, my stepmom, and my little brother's in upstate New York.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
and they're doing pretty good too. And I got family also in Chicago, because that's where I was born. They're doing well. And then also Pittsburgh, Texas, all over the U.S. So yeah, everybody's doing
Nice.
good for the most part.
Good.
So without any further ado, I'm just gonna get into it. Obviously, you're a Lake Forest, Illinois native,
Hmm.
which is an hour outside of Chicago, pretty much. Um, and I want to ask you, what made you or inspired you to want to pursue a career in sports media, journalism, and entertainment?
It's sort of roundabout. I mean, I think obviously being an athlete growing up was a big part of it. I was running and competing at everything possible from a super young age. I was a three-sport athlete in high school. I got recruited for all three sports for college. I ended up doing track and field at Cornell. And at the time, I actually wanted to do comedy and acting. So I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. That was always the dream growing up, was either be on Broadway or be on Saturday Night Live.
Right.
And I was really into comedy and all that stuff growing up. And I loved sports, but I was a huge Michael Jordan and the Bulls fan.
Mm.
And my parents are not really into watching sports. And I think as a young girl, when you like sports a lot, the responses is different than maybe a boy,
Right.
right? It wasn't like I had a lot of family members and relatives wanting to like sit me down and chat about the Bulls strategy or take me to games or like things like that. So it was sort of
Right.
my own thing. And so it never really occurred to me when I was younger to work in sports. There were so few women. We didn't watch ESPN at my household ever. And so watching like coverage of the Bulls, for instance, it was all dudes everywhere except for the Lovables, the cheerleaders. So there was no person that I saw and thought, oh, you could do that. Like you could do that for a job. So I went off to college. I was an English major. I took a bunch of classes in acting and did track and field and moved out to LA to do comedy and improv, did the whole Second City Conservatory, worked at a restaurant, did all the cliche things that you do to try to become an actress, did auditions. And it wasn't until I went to a hosting boot camp, like a long weekend of classes to learn how to host a show and throw to break and teases and all this other stuff. And I hosted a fake Chicago Bears show just for fun.
Right.
And the teacher was like, "Oh, you want to work in sports?" I was like, "No, there's no women in sports." And the ones that are like gorgeous sideline reporters who look like models or like very serious anchor people that don't seem like they get to have fun because people have to really believe they know what they're talking about.
Right.
I want to do satire and be funny and all this stuff. And she said, "Well, it just seems natural. It's something maybe you could try." So I took a class at UCLA Sports Extension in TV sports reporting. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I could take my English major, my writing, the interview skills I get from improv, the
Right.
performance side of it, and make this into something where I get to talk about this thing I love, which is sports, which has always just been for fun. So yeah, it's not your typical story of just growing up and knowing that's what you wanted. I kind of happened upon it, but it ended up being great.
Well, talking to many people in this industry, no story is like, every story is unique, right? Everybody has their own story and their own path of how they got there. And that's amazing that, you went the English major route, but then you moved to Los Angeles and you wanted to, do satire, be an actress, and you kind of stumbled upon sports, and look at you now. I mean, just absolutely brilliant in everything that you do. And the reason why you're one of my favorites is because you're so versatile. Because you can host, you can report, you can write, you can do it all. And that's something that I want to do too. You're brilliant in front of the camera, on radio, period. And I want to do that. I want to be that kind of person as well. So no doubt you inspired me for sure. You talked about 3 sports that you did in high school. I want to ask you real quick. I know it was field hockey. I know it was track and field and basketball. 2-part question.
Yep.
Which one was your favorite that you wanted? Which one was your favorite of the 3? And what events did you do in track and field?
So I would say that's a tough one. I loved being in the moment in all of them. I think basketball was my favorite because of my obsession with Jordan, right? So like I loved staying after and practicing like his fadeaway jumpers on the baseline and all these moves and whatever. But the nice thing about track and field, which I did like because I'm such a control freak, is it is a solo endeavor. You're competing with a team. Maybe you have a relay, but for the most part, you depend on yourself. If you put in the work, you hopefully get the results out. And that was, I think, the best one to get recruited for because it's numbers, right? You can't have a teammate who's a ball hog. You can't have a coach who disappears. If you hit the numbers, you let people know that you could do it. So I did in high school, I mean, damn near everything: high jump, long jump, hurdles, 800, shot put, discus, javelin, like not javelin because they didn't have it. So I did all the things, which led my coach to suggest that I look into multi-events, so heptathlon. And Illinois did not have javelin at the high school level or pole vault. So those kind of, one of my teammates, he thought would be a great pole vaulter in college. So he went out and borrowed, a pole vault and a javelin and like kind of worked with us because he'd been at decathlete in college. And so I went to a couple junior Olympics and nationals before college to compete in the pentathlon and heptathlon. And then when I ended up going to Cornell, that was my event, was that 7.
Oh, that's awesome. That really is. I did read you as a heptathlete, so damn, that's a lot of equipment to do in track and field.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Jack of all trades, master of none. That's the best thing to do if you aren't the very best at anything, is just be really good at everything. It's kind of my mantra for life.
And you know what? This podcast is called Work Hard, Play Hard. And I don't know anybody else that really fits that mantra as best as you do. Like, you maximize 24 hours in a day for real, for real.
That's true.
I follow you on Instagram and Twitter, and just some of the things that you do, from, the trips you take and stuff you do, and then your work as well. I'm like, damn, does she ever sleep? So it's just one of those things.
Not that often. No, I do sleep. I do sleep. I don't really relax very well. But sleep is very important to me. I try to get at least 8 hours every night, but I just am not good at relaxing. I don't sit around and do nothing. I don't kill time. If I'm watching TV, usually I'm working at the same time. Part of it is too, that I'm such a workaholic that if I don't schedule those moments with friends and family, those social events and stuff, it's too easy for me to fill all of my time with all the work I could be doing. I'm never like I'm never caught up. It's always like I'm running and chasing all the things that I have to do.
Yeah.
So if I schedule in dinners or parties or events, it forces me to like put the phone, put the work down, and just go spend time with people. So yeah, I don't I could stand to relax more every once in a while, but for now I'm happy with the trade-off of like I'm willing to work as hard as I do because I also make sure that I fit in lots of time with friends and stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's awesome that you do that. It really is. You talk about Cornell University. I want to know, were there any other schools that could have possibly persuaded you from Cornell
Mm-hmm.
University?
Yeah, Dartmouth was actually my first choice. It just was so beautiful. It felt like such a typical, like the idea of what you'd imagine a gorgeous Ivy League school to be. It was, in the middle of nowhere, Ivy covered buildings. It was a little bit smaller.
Yeah,
And they were heavily recruiting me. But in Ivy Leagues, you can't have athletic scholarships at all. So there is some work done by the athletic department or specific teams where they can tell admissions, listen, these are the most important to me, to maybe if they're right on the edge of the academic capability of getting in, this is the one I want you to push through. And in the end, the coach did call me a couple weeks before and say, unfortunately, I don't know that I'm going to be able to make it happen. So really small school. And I went there on my recruiting trip and I really liked it, but they did a lot of just sitting around rooms, like drinking and hanging out. And I wasn't a drinker until junior year in college, didn't drink at all. So
wow,
Cornell had 43 frats, which meant I could go and be sober, but like no one knew because I'm super outgoing. And there was all
right,
these fun parties with different themes and events. And like there was so much to do that it was really easy to be social for 2.5 full years before ever drinking and not feel like I was missing out. Whereas I don't know. And maybe that would have been the case at Dartmouth, but it did feel like it was a lot more just sitting around and drinking. There weren't
yeah,
like the
yeah.
big houses and Cornell was bigger too. So I ended up I think going the best place. Um, but yeah, I mean I didn't get into Harvard, Dartmouth, Brown,
Mm,
Princeton. I got rejected. I mean, I
wow.
could have transferred after my first semester easily, but by that time I really loved Cornell and wanted to stay.
So, I mean, you mentioned all those colleges, and all those colleges are in the Ivy League. Were there no ACC, no
Mm.
SEC, no schools you had in mind that you really wanted to go to?
No, I really wanted to balance like getting that last 4 years of athletics at the same
Yeah,
time as the best education possible. I knew I wasn't going to be in the Olympics. I knew I wasn't like WNBA was around, but it wasn't like a thing that I had aspirations or even really thought of at the time.
right.
So it wasn't something where I thought, oh, I want to go pursue this after. It was where can I be Division 1 because I did want to be small fish in a big pond or big yeah small fish in a big pond, not big
Yeah,
fish in a small pond. I had some safety schools that were D3 that were just like I know I can get in and play sports there, but I want to challenge myself. So I think I found the good mix of, and Ivy League track and field is a great one because there are plenty of Olympians competing that are coming there, especially from other countries that want that academic experience while also, and because it's an individual sport, as long as all the coaching positions are endowed, which means they get paid well, you're
right.
getting really good coaching and you're also at a great school. So it was a really good balance for like my level of athletics plus getting to go to a great school.
Nah, Cornell's a great school. I'm definitely shocked that obviously all the schools that you wanted to go to or apply was just straight Ivy League and just no other
Yeah.
conference. But that's totally awesome. I mean, Cornell's a great
Yeah.
school. And they ain't gonna let no
I
dummies
did.
before
I
that.
think I applied to Duke and did not get in. Duke was also
Okay.
very popular at my school that year. Duke was, I want to say, 8, maybe
Mhm.
7 people from just my class got in early decision. So it
Wow.
was like everybody. Yeah, I went to a public high school, but it was seen by most colleges as the equivalent of a private in terms of, you know, t- test scores and all the other, like application based metrics. So it was there was a lot of competition.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I want to ask you some of your favorite things now. I'm just gonna ask you off the rip, and then you let me know
All right.
what it is. Favorite food?
Some sort of like stir fry, either like a teriyaki or like a Penang curry, Asian stir fry.
Okay, I like that. Okay. Favorite movie genre?
Ooh, I'm gonna say comedy, but romantic comedy is like right behind.
Okay. Something like 51st Dates? Are we talking about something like that?
Like Sleepless in Seattle, the
Oh,
classics. Hanks, When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You Got Mail. Okay. Something like
Yes. All the Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks, all the hits,
that. Totally. Okay. I feel you on that. Favorite music genre. Now I know you're a huge Pearl Jam fan. I know
Yeah.
you like Pearl Jam.
That's so hard because I like pretty much love EDM and I don't love super twangy country, but I like R&B, rock, indie. I like, some country. I don't like crazy heavy metal, but I used to really be into like Metallica and Guns N' Roses and like
Yeah.
so I guess it's probably like indie rock,
Okay.
singer-songwriter stuff, but I mean I couldn't go without my Pearl Jam. I couldn't go without like, rap and stuff either, like especially old school 80s and 90s rap and hip hop, like I can't go without that either.
I figured that, I used to listen to when you did the trifecta with Jane and
Yeah.
Kate. Speaking of Jane says hello. McManus says hello.
Hello, Jane. Yes.
And I remember listening to you specifically on Spain and Prim, where you guys had that rap off.
Yep.
One of the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah. Prim cheated a little because she got to make one up, whereas I made mine fit exactly to nothing but a G thing. But she did a good job. I took the controversial loss on that one, but I still think I was the big winner.
I think so too, without question. Shocked me with the number G thing, but you was actually on rhythm and on beat, and I was like, "That's what's up."
Oh yeah, that's my karaoke song. That's my karaoke go-to.
Okay, gotcha.
Both parts.
Favorite place you ever visited?
That's impossible. I'm gonna say it's a toss-up between Tanzania, which we say Tanzania here, but they say Tanzania in Africa. So
Wow.
Tanzania and New Zealand are my two favorites.
Wow. Okay. And haven't been to either one or either one, I should say. But New Zealand, I've heard some great things. Heard some great things about New Zealand.
It's the most beautiful place you'll ever go. Like just gorgeous.
I'm getting my passport, this year. So I just applied for one. So I'm getting my passport. So I'm going to try to travel some different places.
Yeah. Make a list. Start checking them off.
Absolutely. Now, favorite alcoholic drink?
Oh, a lava flow, which is the best kind you have to get like in Hawaii itself, or like Duke's Malibu has a good one. If you get them in places like in Southern America or Mexico, they call them, or like Miami, they call them something different. What is it? Like a Miami Vice or something like that, but it's not the same. You got to get a legit lava flow. It's kind of like if you took half pina colada, half strawberry daiquiri, but it's got full big chunks of real strawberries in it. So it's got like pineapple, coconut milk, strawberries, like it's magical.
And you said a lava flow? Is this what it's called?
Lava flow. Yeah.
Okay. I'm heading to Miami.
Yeah, like I said, if you go some places like Miami or like resorts, a lot of times they'll call it a Miami Vice.
Okay.
Miami Vice, it's like two frozen that they mix together, whereas a real lava flow is like made by hand with all the stuff and then blended. Slightly different, but still magical.
Okay, I like that. Now, with all the work that you do, as we laid it out at the top, and I want to ask you, how do you balance your work life and your social life, but also still maintain a healthy mental health? Because it's so hard. I want to set up this question before you answer. I want to set this question up about letting you know about me. So I graduated July 31st, as I told you through email.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I lost some friends though during my school year because they kept asking me to hang out. And I was so focused on trying to complete my classes. Also, I told them, y'all, they knew my schedule. I work for the lottery full time. I'm also a sports correspondent covering high school sports. And I also do production for ESPN, freelance. So I'm all over the place. So, when I want to relax, I kind of just want to sit down and do absolutely nothing.
Right.
And they kept asking me to go out, and I was like, maybe next time, maybe next time, and then they stopped asking. So I finally realized that it was hard for somebody in the 9 to 5 realm that works in the business hours to understand a journalistic kind of schedule because our hours are crazy and they're unpredictable.
Yeah.
So, how do you balance your work life, social life, but also still maintain a healthy mental health?
Well, I'm sorry that happened. And hopefully now that you've graduated, you have a little bit more leeway to like reach back out to them and sort of explain what was happening and hope that you could, reconnect and hang out.
Yeah.
I would say my friends, thankfully, are really understanding of stuff like my radio show goes till 8 p.m. every weeknight. So if we're going to have dinner and it's a weeknight, they know we're going to go at like 8:30, which is late for them if they've got work the next day, but they make it work if they want to see me. And, a lot of times I can't go to concerts or events or things during the week because of my show. I would say, thankfully, for the most part, with some exceptions, my weekends tend to be more like 9 to 5 people's weekends because I don't call games, right? So I'm not flying off every weekend to call a football game or attend an event. That was when
Right.
I was coming up. I definitely had more of that stuff to do on the weekends where I would have to go cover stuff. Now I kind of block off the weekends a little bit more because I'm working so much during the week. Um, for me, the key to everything has always been, and this was the case in high school as well, I really learned it early in my life because I've always wanted to be involved in so many things. And if you choose that, you have to still care about the quality of what you're giving to any one thing, right? And so for me, if I wanted to be in 3 sports and all state in band and all state in chorus and a good student and have friends, then I needed to have incredible time management skills. And so that carried over. When I got to Cornell, I was really worried, like, how difficult is it going to be a Division I athlete and go to an Ivy League school and get decent grades? And I got there and realized that I was extremely well prepared because I was a great time manager. I didn't procrastinate. I
Yeah.
did the work I needed to do. And if you think about it, I wasn't drinking. So if I wasn't quite done and I went out with my friends, I could come home at 2 a.m. and finish my work because I
Right.
was tired but sober.
Right.
So I think for me, I kind of sometimes describe my day as like a Jenga board. And so if somebody pulls out a block that I wasn't expecting, it's very frustrating because everything is like this because I have to do it that way. So like for me, it's just scheduling. So if I reach out to a friend in advance to make plans, I put it on my calendar and that's it. Nothing's coming in the way of that unless it's, super important, can't say no opportunity. If I were you, especially at your point in your career, that's, I think, how you have to do it. If you keep your schedule too vague, if you kind of dick around and then realize you wasted a bunch of time, then it's easy to feel like, oh my God, I'm so busy. Are you though? Or are you just not using the time that you have smartly?
Right.
And so I would say, especially with my friends and family, they know that, like, unfortunately, I'm probably not the person to call last minute because I'm usually going to be completely scheduled up. But they also know that if I make a plan a week in advance, I'm always going to be there. I'm going to be super excited and I'm going to give you my full undivided attention because I've blocked that off for that. Um, but also remember that, like, this is a tough business. You're going to work nights, you're going to work weekends. And if it matters to you, it's worth missing going to the club with your friends, going to a party. That's something you get used to. It sucks at the beginning. And then you get older and you're like, holy shit, I get to work in sports for my
Right.
job.
Right.
It's so worth it. This 10 years later, 10 years of awesomeness versus, oh, I got to party more then. And now I work a desk job that I hate. And it would have been better to give my time and efforts to this thing that I was like passionate about. So you kind of put it in your head that way and it feels less hard, I think, to say no to stuff. But make sure your friends still know you care about them and want to see them. You just have to plan ahead a little more.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you 100% more. They didn't understand at the time. I think reaching back out to them now, letting them
Yeah.
know, hey, listen, I'm on a mission, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm willing to, break time for you if you're willing to understand that this is the
Yeah.
schedule I have. Because I'm a scheduler. As you know, I
Yeah.
fix
Yeah.
you numerous of days
Yeah.
and times in advance. So
Yep.
that's just the way that I
You
am. I've
got
always
that
been
down.
built that way. And you said
Yep.
what?
I said, you got that down.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. And it was tough at first when they just stopped calling and stuff like that. But at the same time, like I said, I'm on a mission, and I really, really want to break into this industry. And my mental is much. It's just on focus right now because if I was
Right. For
20,
sure.
if I was younger, maybe 20 or 21, the fact that I'm a little older than that really helps out a lot because
For sure.
I can understand. I can understand for sure. The next thing I want to get into is about your philanthropy. Now you participate in three different organizations or three different things that I know of. Embark is one, which you are. That's for Chicago low-income students. You're providing opportunities. Another one is Peace for Pits. Obviously, that's a given while you're in that one for
Yep.
sure. But then the one that hopefully one day, one of those events that you have, the Hear the Cheers, hopefully one day I can
Yeah.
attend because that'd be great.
Yeah.
You do that with Elijah Peters, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
And Hear the Cheers is towards the deaf and the hard of hearing. That's what it.
Yep.
Can you talk about those three organizations and why you wanted to get yourself involved?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I think Hear the Cheers came first. So my colleague Julie Foudy, the legendary soccer player, her
Mm.
daughter gathered up all her Barbies one day and said she wanted to donate them to someone who might want to play with them because she was kind of done and didn't, she wanted to think of passing them on.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie started talking to her daughter about just philanthropy in general and how you don't have to have millions of dollars to make a difference in your community. You can find something small. And she said, told her daughter she wanted to work with her on something. And then she reached out to a bunch of colleagues um, and said, everybody partner up with your sons or daughters and find something in your community that can make a difference. And
Yeah.
she called it Choose to Matter. And
Okay.
I don't have any children. So I had met Eliza. Her dad had reached out to me when she was in sixth grade and said she wants to grow up and be a sports reporter. Can she come to the ESPN 1000 radio studio and like see what your job is like for the day? And
Mm-hmm.
we just hit it off. That time we hung out again. And she and her family were so nice that when Julie Foudy approached me, I thought, oh, maybe I'll see if Eliza wants to kind of be my pseudo daughter and we can find a campaign to start together. And
Yeah.
Eliza has significant hearing loss in one ear and has been wearing hearing aids her whole life. So she said, I don't know if you know this, but most hearing aids are not covered by insurance, which is crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, they could be up to $4,000 or $5,000 an ear. So imagine for a family how difficult that is to find out that your kid might need them, and it could be up to $10,000 just so they can hear in school and
Right.
communicate and everything. So
Right.
we started Hear the Cheers 9 years ago to get kids hearing aids and equipment so they can keep participating in sports and school and activities. So that's been really rewarding and really cool. And now Eliza's a junior at Ole Miss, which is insane. I just can't even believe it. And then Peace for Pits. My husband and I rescued a dog from Anti-Cruelty Society, and then we became fanatics about rescue dogs and started fostering dogs. And there's a place, Chicago Animal Care and Control in Chicago, that's basically the pound. So they'll get any dogs that are found, any dogs that a family like turns in that they don't want anymore, dogs from evictions, jail sentences, everything.
Right.
And they get put down regularly. If someone doesn't come and adopt them, or if there isn't a family to take them, they get put to sleep. And so we started trying to foster dogs, and then we'd find a home for them and bring in a new one. And you kind of vet them and get to know them, and you can help people figure out, are they good with kids or cats or other dogs, or what are their quirks or whatever. And so there's this awesome couple, Megan and Mike, and they run Peace for Pits, and it's just the two of them, but they have a network of people that help. And they basically, a lot of the dogs that are not vetted yet, you can't just go in and adopt or foster them. They need to be vetted through a recognized rescue organization that is in charge of you taking them, like making sure that all of your house has been checked to make sure it's a safe and good place for an animal, that you know what you're doing, that you have enough money to buy them food and like all the other stuff. So we worked with them for one dog and we just fell in love with them. And so now we've had a couple different rescues through them, and we always try to support them. My husband will sometimes transport dogs to vet appointments and things before they get adopted and stuff like that. So we just try to help them out as much as we can. And then Embark, I actually tried to start something with a local woman that I met through ESPNW years ago, where we took girls at the age that they're most likely to drop out of sports, around sixth or seventh grade, and we paired a bunch of them with from low income Chicago schools. We paired a bunch of them with trainers, coaches, reporters, women of all parts of the sports industry that were really high achieving, and we planned outings and events and ways to mentor them. And it was so hard because we didn't have the infrastructure. So we were driving to the south and west sides of Chicago to go pick them up. And sometimes they weren't there, or their parents forgot, or they were, They didn't show up to the Cubs games that we organized and things like that. So we were really trying to get to them, but the barrier was as much the issues that kept them, held back in the first place. Parents with issues, poverty issues, safety issues. And it was frustrating because I wanted to do something and I wanted to reach out to kids that didn't have such a lucky upbringing as I did. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and he was like, I'm on the board for this thing in Bark. It sounds similar to what you're doing, but more all encompassing, not just specific to young girls. And so I learned about it and I was like, I'm in. It actually replaces a class during their school day of Chicago Public High School. I think we're at 19 schools right now, but ever expanding. And it teaches you everything from interview skills to, college prep, to a lot of experiential learning, going to a grocery store to learn about healthy eating, going to the Joffrey Ballet to learn about dance. They've come to my radio station to learn what it is to put together a radio show, going to, restaurants to learn how to work back of house or anything else. So it's just taking kids from a pretty limited environment in terms of what they see as ways to find success and get out of the cycle of poverty, and hopefully like opening up their heart to something they never knew they loved, whether that's music or sports or cooking or anything else. So that's been super rewarding. And I just love working with them. I think so many people take for granted how lucky they were to grow up in the place that they did, with all the opportunity, all the exposure to culture and life that they got to figure out what they were passionate about. And some students just don't have that.
It's amazing to, every day we count our blessings, right? Because, everybody has hardships, everybody has difficulties, everybody has roadblocks, however you want to put it.
Right.
But it's just, in some families, it is what it is to say. Some families are just more privileged than others. And it's great to know that you have the heart, that you want to give your time, your money, and just whatever else you can give back to these philanthropy type of opportunities.
For sure. I think just gratitude and like recognizing that it's fine. You don't have to feel guilty or bad if you have great parents, you grew up in a great place, but understanding that you were lucky to have that, and also being willing to give back and make sure that other people have those experiences and opportunities because of what you're given is so necessary. I think people lose that perspective really easily, and they give themselves a ton of credit for where they got to without recognizing that they didn't have tons of barriers in their way and that there wasn't a lot to overcome. They worked hard. I'm impressed, but have a more realistic idea of what other people are dealing with before you go patting yourself on the back for everything you've done.
Amen. Amen. That's all I can say to that. Hear the cheers. When is the next Hear the Cheers event? Because I promise you, I'm going to make my way out there to it.
Yeah. Well, this year, sadly, we didn't have like a big event like we had in the past because of COVID stuff. So hopefully next year, we usually run the campaign around March or later. This year, because of Eliza's college schedule, we moved it to July so that she could be around for some more of the stuff. But somewhere between March and July usually. And so hopefully we'll be able to have another event. This year we did like a charity hot Pilates class just a week and a half ago to try to raise some more money. But in the past we've done cool like March Madness watch parties, or like the year after the Cubs won the World Series, we had a Game 7 rewatch party. And we did an auction and a raffle and stuff. So hopefully next year we'll be able to get back to something like that.
Hopefully. I want to ask you some this or that questions, okay? So I'll give you two things and you just tell me, all right? Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Christmas.
MJ or Brady?
MJ. You could have said anything, including probably my husband. MJ or your husband. I'd be like, I know what I'm supposed to say.
Got you. I got you. Okay. Basketball or football?
That was such an easy answer for like my whole life. But I've gotten so into football lately. I'm torn, really. Basketball is my jam, but the Bulls have been hard, man, to get into.
You ain't lying about that. Hey, but listen, they got DeRozan now. They got Ball now. They got a nice backcourt. I know.
I'm excited about what they look like. I'm excited about the front office, just turning things around. I'm optimistic. I think right now, like if I had to choose who would win the championship, I'd rather have the Bears win it, because I was never old enough to appreciate or know what that feels like. Whereas I got to live through all of the 90s Bulls championships.
Yeah.
But I do think like if I look back at 90s Bulls, like watching The Last Dance, that was it for me.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
that's peak, but that's the best basketball with the best player ever.
Yeah.
Whereas like I think I look forward to Bears games a lot more than Bulls now. And like watching football for my job, I also like better because it's more contained, right? Like
Yeah.
this is a hard business. You have to know everything about everything. I can't watch every NBA game. I can't even watch every Bulls game, not to mention every game of every other team. So
Right.
I always feel like I'm trying to play catch up when I cover the NBA. Whereas on the NFL side, I really sit myself down. I try to watch an entire Sunday, really catch up on games. Like I'm never going to be like a Orlovsky type that's going to be, I was in the game and I can tell you every X's and O's, but I
Right.
feel confident talking about it in a way that basketball, despite having played it and actually knowing X's and O's,
Right.
there's so many players and teams and storylines now that to do that without it being your sole focus is pretty overwhelming. So I think that bleeds into my appreciation of the sports now is like whether they provide me joy or stress when I'm covering them.
Okay, so can we say basketball 51%, football
Yes.
49%?
Yes. We can even go 60-40 on that one.
Okay.
The game of basketball I still love and Jordan, but it's been tough lately.
Yeah, I can understand. I definitely do. Drive-ins or movie theaters?
I've never been to a drive-in and I really want to go.
Oh my God.
I know. The
Dang.
closest I've been is I went to a drive-in concert last year. My only concert during COVID was a drive-in concert and it was really fun, but I've never been to actual like drive-in movie.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping Brad checks that off the list
Yes.
in the upcoming years.
Yes.
You got to go to at least experience
Yes.
one time.
Well, one of his birthday or Christmas, I can't remember. He always wanted, although now he wants to spend the money on rescue dogs, which I appreciate. He always wanted like a vintage Mustang convertible. And so I got like this thing where you can rent one for a day.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll do a whole day of driving around all these pretty places and then we'll take it to the drive-in.
Yeah, it's just a different vibe. You know, as you know, the drive-in concert, that's a great, but just to watch a drive-in movie on that big screen and you listen to the radio, it's romantic.
That seems fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, this is a question of who would you rather root for? The Chicago White Sox or the Green Bay Packers?
All right, so here's the thing. I don't have anything against the White Sox. I don't actually consider them an enemy of the Cubs. They're not even in the same league, division, right? It's more just like their fans annoy me sometimes because like they want me to like talk about them all the time when I'm not like at work. I'm just like being a Cubs fan. And they're like, no White Sox. I'm like, I'm a Cubs fan. Like it's been made pretty clear.
Right.
And then like when you go to Cubs White Sox, sometimes like they're just, you just forget the attitude. But I got nothing against the White Sox. I would probably be happy if they won. That'd be cool for the city and for them.
Okay.
The Packers, I like Aaron Rodgers. He's my favorite player in the league as of right now until Justin Fields takes over and becomes the franchise savior and the future Super Bowl winning quarterback of the Chicago Bears. But right now, Aaron Rodgers is my favorite player. And so I want him to succeed, but not his team, which makes it really tough.
Right. You know, I asked that question because, you know, I'm going to say this. I'm a Cubs fan too. My family, there are cousins, aunts that live on the south side and on the west side of Chicago from my mom and my dad's side. They're Cubs fans, and then there's a couple cousins that are White Sox fans. But I actually grew up in San Diego, so I'm definitely a Padres fan, for sure.
Man, that's a tough road. They're always like trying and not quite getting there.
Yeah. It's, you know, we've been sorry for a lot of years. So I'll take a winning record. I'll take a winning record this year. But hey,
you have exciting players. Yeah. Exciting players.
So, but yeah, so are we 51-49 there too?
Oh no, I would. I'm gonna go for sure White Sox. I'd rather see them win.
Okay. Last one on the this or that, and this is a very important one. KFC or Popeyes?
I'm a vegetarian and I haven't eaten fast food in probably 16 years.
What?
Unless you count like one thing of fries from like Culver's.
Oh my God, that
I
is
don't do fast food. It's not real food. It's like chemicals with preservatives that can stay on a counter for like years and never mold or change. So imagine what's doing in your body.
I can dig. No, I dig that. I just never knew you was a vegetarian. I never knew it.
Yeah. When I was younger, there was a place, Brown's Chicken,
Yeah,
and it was on the way. So my parents had a house in Michigan and like 90 minutes away. My mom was a really good cook and also very healthy. So we did not do a lot of fast food ever. But
right.
that was always like, all right, we're hitting the road. We're trying to beat traffic. Okay, we can stop at Brown's Chicken on the way up to Michigan. And back then I was down for the chicken and the mashed potatoes and the corn and the whatever. But I will say, maybe like 10 years ago, maybe 9, I always forget about this when I say I haven't had fast food in forever because that's not true. We were on my husband has this website, The Heckler, and he
Yeah.
runs trips and events and stuff. So I think this was when we went to St. Louis for Blackhawks Blues and Rams Bears, and it was a doubleheader weekend. And at one point during the trip, on the way home or something, we stopped and there was no options. And so I was like, okay, we're going to do this. It was either KFC or Popeyes. I'm like, we're going to do this. I'm going to have some mashed potatoes and some
Mm.
corn and a biscuit, like all
Yes,
the
indeed.
sides.
Oh yeah.
Ew, I hated all of them. I hated all of them. I've like lost my palate for it. Like now I'm all fancy ass and I need like real mashed potatoes that aren't made from like condensed milk. And I need delicious fresh corn off the cob, none of that buried in whatever. So yeah, I know. I'm like, yeah, I got no reference.
Oh man, that's funny. No, that's great. That's totally awesome. It really is. Um, I got just a couple more questions. You've been totally
I
good.
lost you for a second. Hold
Uh-oh.
on.
Gotcha. Can you hear me now?
Okay, cool. 1 second. You're just a little bit fuzzy. Your thing is like your face is frozen, but
Okay. Can you hear me now?
now you're back. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So I was just saying, I got just a couple more questions. You've been totally good. I appreciate it. How good do you know your Chicago sports trivia? Uh-oh. Oh man. Uh-oh. Can you hear me now? Can you see me
I
now?
lost you again.
You lost me again? Can you see me?
How good is what?
How good is your Chicago
Yeah.
sports
How
trivia?
good is what?
How good is your Chicago sports trivia?
Oh, I'm gonna say probably not very good. Trivia's never been my strong suit. We'll see, but usually it's like things from before I was born. And like I said, my parents weren't into sports. So when I was growing up, I didn't have anyone talking to me about Walter Payton or Ryan Sandberg or like whenever I like need a deep cut reference from the 70s or 80s, I'll literally ask my husband, I'll be like, Brad, name a baseball pitcher who had a bad temper in the 80s. I need it for a reference. And he's like, oh, how about this? I'm like, that'll do. I'm like, I'm writing a story. I need a reference point. Cause yeah, I had so much catching up to do by the time I decided to really get into sports.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll test it out a little bit. We'll test it out a little bit and we'll see.
All right.
We'll see. Okay. We'll give you a cupcake question right now. I'll give you a cupcake question. Okay. How many Stanley Cups?
Okay.
How many Stanley Cups have the Blackhawks won in team history?
Well, let's see. It was 3 in 8 years recently. And then before that, I want to say it was 50 years before that they had won it. I want to say it's only 4. I want to say there was 1 before the recent run.
Correct. See?
All right.
We starting off good. Okay. Who was the MVP of Super Bowl 20?
Super Bowl 20 MVP.
Hint, that's the year the Bears made it.
No, I know. I'm just trying to figure out. I know it wasn't Walter. He didn't get a touchdown. It was a big whole thing. Refrigerator Perry did. but did he end up becoming the MVP because of that? I don't think it was McMahon. Oh, might have just been like a Singletary, like a good defensive. I'm gonna go with the fridge. No, not okay. I was getting warmer with Singletary.
You was getting warmer, yes. You want to take one more guess?
Let's think about it. Richard Dent?
Correct. It was Richard.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, like before my time. So one of the reasons I always tell people I want the Bears to win is I've spent my whole life hearing about a team that I've never got to watch.
Right. I got 2 more questions for you. This next question is going to be a little more difficult though. How many games has Chicago Bulls great Scottie Pippen lost in the first round of the playoffs in his career as a Bull?
Did he?
Yes. How many games did
That's what you're saying?
How many games did he lose in the first round?
Oh, how
on the Chicago Bulls?
As a Bull. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out if it.
Now remember,
I don't know this one.
He played from 87. His first year was 88, and his last year was 98. So how many games in the first rounds of the playoffs did he lose from those years?
See, I feel like it's a trick question. Like you're trying to trick me into saying, and then the answer is going to be 0 because he's a badass. But I don't think that's it because I think those they had some struggles with the bad boys and stuff.
They did. But they
I'm gonna go them in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna go 0.
No, not correct. Sorry. Right. Incorrect.
Not correct.
So
the
answer is 6. And I'm gonna give you the 6 games.
Okay.
So in 88,
they
played Cleveland in the first round. They lost 2 games. In 89, remember Michael had the shot versus Cleveland. They lost another 2 games. In 1990, they played Milwaukee and they lost 1 game. Then in their championship years of 91, 92, 93, they lost no games. In 94, they beat Cleveland. They lost no games. The last game that they lost was 95 versus Charlotte. They lost 1. And then 96, 97, 98.
That's right.
So it was 6.
That's right. I think my brain was thinking like that they lost games and then lost the series. So I was trying to figure out how many first round series instead of just games within those series. Yeah.
Got you. I understand. Well, listen, we 2 for 3. Yeah. We can finish on a good note.
All right.
The last one is, out of these 5 quarterbacks, only 3 of them are from Illinois. I'm going to give you 5. Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
Donovan McNabb.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Andy Dalton and Jimmy Garoppolo. Name the 3 that are from Illinois.
So Jimmy Garoppolo is.
Yep.
Wait, it depends. Yeah. I was gonna say because you're not talking went to college. You're talking born here, I presume.
Mm-hmm. Yes, from Illinois.
Born in Illinois. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Matt Stafford is a no.
Correct.
Who'd you give me? Kirk Cousins, and who are the other people?
Kirk Cousins, Donovan McNabb, and Andy Dalton. 2 of those. I'm going to say
McNabb and Cousins. I'm going to say McNabb and Cousins.
Correct. So Jimmy, Kirk, and Donovan McNabb are from Illinois. You did pretty good.
Yep.
I love it.
Thank you.
Now.
Yeah. See, the one I didn't get involved math. That's not surprising at all. That's not my wheelhouse. You made me do math.
When it comes to money, though, you definitely add it up right. When it comes to that paycheck, I bet you added up.
I'm trying.
Now, recently, you became an owner of the Chicago Red All-Stars, which is the NWSL.
Red Stars.
Red Stars, right?
Yeah.
National Women's Soccer League, um, which is a great accomplishment. Congratulations. But what
Thank you.
made you want to be an owner, and why was the time now right for you to be an owner in your hometown?
To be honest, it never even occurred to me because I think of sports owners as like wearing a monocle on a yacht, like really, really rich old white dudes, right? Because that's always been the model. But
Yeah.
I interviewed Abby Wambach and her wife, Glennon Doyle, who's a best-selling author, and
Yeah.
Abby, legendary soccer player.
Yeah.
And Foudy also announced that she was a part of a group with them that was going to start an expansion team in the NWSL, the Los Angeles Angel City. So I'm hearing about this thinking, wow, it never occurred to me that ownership could look like a bunch of passionate, committed people who don't have the billions of dollars on their own, but put together enough money, especially for a smaller, more nascent league like the NWSL, to be able to run a team. And so after interviewing them, I talked to them during an ESPNW summit, and I kind of jokingly said, I want to be an owner, like I want in on this, right? And I had I had met the majority owner of the Red Stars a couple of times. I had written a story or two about them. I had thrown a little tailgating party just because I like the product. I think it's really fun. And so after he saw what was happening in Angel City and a couple other places around the league, he thought to himself, boy, I'd sure like some help and a little bit of a capital raise where I have a safety net financially for this. And so I was one of the first people they reached out to about interest. So never even occurred to me that I could do it. And even when they called, I went to my financial advisor. I'm like, is this even like feasible or smart? And it's a great investment. It's on the up and up. And yeah, it just felt like for all the work I've been doing talking about women's sports, I put my money where my mouth is, quite literally, in what a good investment it is and all the growth that we're going to see coming up. So it's been a learning adventure for sure. Lots to learn, but really fun.
Yeah, like I said, I follow you on Instagram, and I follow you on Twitter, LinkedIn as well. And some of those tailgate parties seem to be just out of this world. So I wanted to come to a game this year, but I'm promising you for the 22 campaign, I'll definitely will attend.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But congratulations again on that. Final two questions.
Thank you.
And question number one is, uh, are there any stories that you would like to cover that you simply haven't yet, and why?
Mm. I would love to do an Olympics. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Olympics, and I do think it'd be really cool to be a part of it and be along the ride with some of those people achieving like their lifelong dream and goals. So the Olympics and Paralympics would both be super cool to cover. And then I think I'd like to go to Wimbledon. I don't know if I need to cover it, but I do think it's just an experience. I'd like to go have a day there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's two great stories, or three great stories, I should say. Olympics coming here in, I believe, in 28 in Los Angeles. Um, that would be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah,
That would be awesome to do, for
yeah.
sure. The last question I have is what advice has someone given you, or you have advocated for someone about coming up in this field, in this industry, that you hold on dearly to?
Well, one of them that's gotten me through a lot was like earlier in my career when I first got back to Chicago and I was in the locker rooms for a couple teams. I was just not treated well by not players or coaches, but mostly like PR people or other reporters. And that's what I had been warned by, as a young woman in the industry. And so this longtime radio guy who's still around in Chicago, I kind of was telling him how hard it had been. And he was like, you just got to put your head down and work super hard. And you just have to be so good that they can't say no to you. And that was it. It was like, yeah, it's BS that I have to deal with this. Yeah, it's BS that people assume I'm a groupie or that I'm not smart or that I don't know what I'm doing or I'm not here for the right reasons or anything else. But they won't be able to think that about me, or they won't be able to let it get in the way if I'm so good at what I do that they can't say no. And so that was always really important to me, was you can wallow in the circumstances and the situation being unfair, and it's fine to be frustrated and to even talk about it and advocate for things to change. But in the end, you can't change the system in the moment. So be better than the system, be so good that they can't say no to you. And then once you achieve a certain voice and agency, then look back and try to change it for somebody else, which is what I've been doing. And I really feel like that was necessary advice for me at the time, because I don't know that I would have given up, but I definitely got really disheartened at the business and thinking like this is what it is. People accusing me of sleeping with players and not giving me access because they think that I'm like, that this is yes, I'm a Division I athlete, I'm an Ivy League, student, I'm all these things, and none of that seems to matter because they just are looking at me and deciding that they know that I'm something else. And so it was really frustrating, but it wasn't going to work to complain about it to those people or to tell them they were wrong. What was going to work was going to be really good at my job, which I was, which got me a job at ESPN. So when I walk back to those same places with ESPN credentials and my own show and everything else, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is who I always was. You just underestimated me or mischaracterized me. And now I'm back to be welcomed back with open arms by people who now recognize that I have a big platform. So I just think in the end, it's really easy to make excuses in this business or to look around and blame things for why somebody else is succeeding and you're not. And I would combine be so good they can't say no to you with the other thing, which is to be endlessly grateful for what you have and not spend all your time comparing yourself to other people in the business. I could spend all day looking at other people who have more money or more platform or better job or all the other stuff and waste a life of being so lucky to do what I do. And instead, if I have that feeling, I give myself one moment to feel that jealousy or that envy. And then I say, all right, that's it. What you want, then you just work harder to go get it. Or if it's not what you want, then accept that what you have is amazing and wonderful and be grateful for it and enjoy it every day. Don't spend your time sitting looking at other people. And also, a lot of times, what other people have isn't even what you want, or it isn't even as great as it looks from afar. You're just building it up, and you're spending your time looking at something that's not even realistic. It's just a portrayal of it. And I'm really big on gratitude practice. I'm really big on being thankful in the moment and really taking perspective and understanding how much happier you are if you're grateful for what you have instead of constantly in need of something else.
Absolutely. You can't help people's preconceived notions about you. Those are just people that don't know you. And you, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, their comments bounce right off of you. I love the fact that you said be so good at it that they can't say no. That's
Mm-hmm.
terrific advice. Definitely something I'm going to take with me for sure.
Yeah.
And gratitude is something that needs to be exhibited more. This is one of the major reasons why I also wanted to talk to you is because to me, there's not enough women in sports. And we, you and myself, you being a woman, me being a minority, we are minorities in this industry. I think
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of us in the sport, and it needs to be more. And that can't be overstated enough. Um, I mean, and for people to even look at you and say that, well, you only did this because of this. I mean, I know personally, I remember you from Waddle to Silver, and that's going way
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
ESPN 1000. I remember
Yeah.
calling into your shows and just talking to you. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that, but I do remember calling
Well,
into.
I've known your name forever, long time. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while that I've known of you, and I've really had a high respect and admiration for you because of what you do, how you do it, and to me, like I said, you're the best. I mean, there's other names you could throw in
So
there,
nice.
Scott Van Pelt, Stephen A, Jamel Hill, but to me, there's just no one better than you. And
Thank
I'm
you.
really grateful that you take your time out to do this, not for just myself, but I'm sure you do this for others as well, and we all do appreciate it. Three things I want to tell you before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Um, One, I am following you, as I elaborated before, on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Those are my three main platforms for wherever I put my articles out or put my content
Cool.
out. I would love for you to follow me back. That would be great. That'd be awesome. And then just take
Cool.
it. I want to continue watching your journey. I'll continue following you, period, because I think you're amazing. But I just want to continue watching your journey and hopefully you follow me back as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The second thing I want to say to you is that you're a very busy woman, understandably. You got a lot of things going on, but I am a sports writer from the core. That's what I love to do. I love to cover games. I love to write stories. I would love to send you some of my stuff. It's been mainly gamers a lot because I've been covering on the prep level quite a bit. But I'm going to be writing some different stories upcoming as well, some Q and A's, some
Yeah.
features, stuff like that. I just love to send it to you. And whenever you get a chance, I would love your feedback. You can bash it to hell if you want to. I'm not sensitive at all. I really
Yeah.
love feedback, so I love that.
Can't make any promises on the turnaround just because I am swamped, but you could absolutely send it and hopefully I'll find some time.
Absolutely. And the last thing that I wanted to tell you is that, as I've said, I did graduate in July. I am trying to definitely break into the industry. I'm definitely still doing little things here and there, but I'm going to be looking at places. Illinois is definitely a place I'm looking at amongst other states. Um, if you were to hear something, see something that maybe I didn't see on a site or online,
Yeah,
please don't hesitate to shoot it my way. Um,
for sure.
Lastly, I am visiting Chicago no, in November, early November. I'm going to be seeing some family. Um, I don't know if you'll be at any Bulls games by then, but if you are, please let me know because I'm going to a couple for sure. And
Yeah, for sure. I'll check my schedule. I feel like November. Yeah, I'll have to double check. I think I'm probably around early November. I don't think I have trips in the beginning.
yeah, early November I'll be there because I definitely want to hear from you again because I definitely got to try a deep dish pizza site because I love me
Yeah,
deep dish
for
pizza.
sure.
So yeah,
Yeah.
please hit me up and do that. I always end my podcasts or conversations with, is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
I don't think so. Just really nice to talk to you and good luck with everything. And I'll definitely keep an eye and ear out for any opportunities.
I appreciate that, Sarah. I really do. Thank you so much once again for joining the podcast. You take care and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon.
You too. Thank you. See ya.
See you. Bye.